Power has a way of making us feel that we can cover up our shortcomings. We have spent a long time building our reputation, carving the stone and polishing it so it looks smooth and shiny, so all can look upon it with awe and respect. But what happens when this sculpture cracks? Most of us don't run for repair, but for cover. Today we look at a king who became an architect of shadows. We look at David, not David the young shepherd boy with the sling, but David the grown man, now king, who carries a deep secret. When David went on to the roof of his palace, he wasn't looking for a fall. He was trying to take a breather, to relieve himself from the weight of the crown. He never saw what happened next coming. One look turned into a choice, and one choice turned into a labyrinth. We often think of David's sin as a moment of passion, but the real deformation of his soul happened in the months that followed. The cover-up, the letters sent, the accidents on the battlefield. He began to build a bunker, and the stones he used for it were his reputation, his past victories, and his crown. He thought he was protecting the kingdom, but in reality, he was suffocating his soul. Do you know what the bunker is? It is a place where you run to when you have done something wrong that does not tally with your Christian identity. You stop praying because the silence feels like an indictment, and so you begin to perform because you're scared that if people saw you for what you really are, they would walk away. Before we go deeper into David's bunker, if you feel that your own soul is in a season of forming, take a moment to join this community. Subscribe to the Forming Self. Let us walk the path of restoration together. The enemy whispers to David in this bunker. Keep the wall high, David. You mustn't allow anyone to know about this. If you admit this, you lose everything. You aren't a man after God's heart anymore. You are a murderer. Stay in the dark. It is the only place you are safe. For a year, David felt safe, but not established. For you see, a soul built on lies is like a house built on sand. Then came Nathan. God loved David. He loves you too much to allow you to hide in the dark. Nathan came to David not to issue a death sentence, but to demonstrate an act of violent mercy. Nathan narrated a story about a stolen lamb. David was furious about the thief, and in an instant, in time, Nathan pointed at David. "You are the man," he said with sternness. David's anger melted to confusion and sorrow. He had been found out. The bunker he spent days, weeks, and even months building had collapsed in a single breath. This is the crossroads of the forming self. Now that you have been exposed, the enemy whispers to you, "Run. Run from the prophets. Run from the church. Run from the word." He wants you to believe that the exposure is the end. If this mirror feels familiar to you today, if you recognize the man in the bunker, hit the like button. It's a small signal to the world that honesty is the first step towards being formed anew. The enemy will want you to feel that, as a mess you are, God has turned his back on you. He has closed the door against you. But look at what David did. He didn't execute the prophets. He didn't make excuses. He fell on his knees, and in falling, he finally found the ground. Out of his wreckage came his psalm, Psalm 51. He realized that his greatest danger wasn't the loss of his reputation. No, but the disconnection from his source. Rather than running from God, he began to run to him with his mess. The mess he tried to hide. He didn't ask for his crown to be polished, but for his heart to be cleansed. Let me tell you a secret. Running to God in your sin is an act of war against the enemy's plan. The enemy wants you to stay in the bunker of safety. God wants you to come to the altar of mercy. Safety is a lie we tell ourselves to avoid pain. Grace and mercy are the tools that God gives us to endure the process. When David ran to God, he realized that the king was not interested in his perfect record. He was interested in his broken and contrite heart. You see, a mess in the hands of the Creator is just the raw material to create a masterpiece. You think your sin has disqualified you, but David's greatest legacy isn't his victory over Goliath. It's his honesty in his failure. There is someone in your life right now who is hiding in their bunker. They believe that there is no hope left for them. Be Nathan and share this video with them. Not to condemn them, but to point them back to the light. Let us crystallize this lesson from the King. The devil's greatest trick is to convince you that God's holiness is a threat to your brokenness. He wants you to fear the light, because the light reveals stains. But this is just a half-truth, which is the most powerful of all lies. The light doesn't just expose things, but it also bleaches them. When you hide in the bunker, it feels like a fortress, but it is actually a tomb. The longer you stay there, the more you suffocate. Don't listen to the voices that say you are far gone. God is not surprised at your mess. He was there when it all happened, and He is here now, calling you out of the bunker. Running away is a slow death. Running to Him is the beginning of a new life. Thank you for witnessing this journey today. Tell me in the comments, what one area is where you are choosing to run to God instead of away? I'll be there to read and pray with you. This is the forming self. We are becoming who He says we are.